I'm not ashamed of my age. Now, I'm 42.
42?
Lord have mercy.
Quiet, everybody. Listen, I want to make a toast to my husband, the graduate. Hey!
Do you know why a successful sitcom like Good Times was suddenly taken off the air? Once celebrated as a source of laughter and connection for its audience, Good Times was abruptly pulled from the airwaves, overshadowed by the weight of unseen turmoil behind the scenes. What were the hidden conflicts that led to its downfall? Uncover the truth in our video. In a candid and revealing 3.5-hour interview with the Archive of American Television, several cast members of the iconic sitcom Good Times shared startling insights into the behind-the-scenes tensions that arose during the production of the show. These revelations shed light on why some of the actors felt deeply frustrated with the way the series portrayed African-American life, particularly regarding the lack of black voices in the writers' room. When Good Times first began airing in the 1970s, it was groundbreaking in its portrayal of an African-American family living in Chicago's Cabrini Green housing projects. The show focused on the Evans family, navigating the challenges of poverty while maintaining love, humor, and resilience. However, some cast members expressed concern that the very individuals responsible for bringing their characters to life, namely the writers, did not understand the nuances and realities of black life. This disconnect, they argued, led to misguided portrayals of the characters, undermining the authenticity of their experiences. A key issue raised was the absence of African-American writers in the early days of the show. In the interview, the cast reflected on how the predominantly white writing staff often failed to capture the intricacies of black culture. This lack of representation behind the scenes led to a series of missteps, which the actors felt were not only out of touch, but also harmful. When the show first started, we had no African-American writers. Some of the attitudes they had caused me to say, we can't do this, one cast member recalled. The frustration stemmed from a sense that the writers, despite their good intentions, couldn't truly comprehend the realities of black life. One actor who became particularly vocal about these concerns was John Amos, who portrayed James Evans, the strong and caring patriarch of the family. Amos became increasingly disillusioned with the way the writers depicted certain aspects of his character and the storylines. Amos, known for his candidness, often took issue with the writers' portrayal of the characters and would challenge them on what he felt were unrealistic and inaccurate representations. In the interview, he shared how he would ask the writers, "How long have you been black?" A pointed question designed to highlight their lack of experience in writing authentically for black characters. His frustration wasn't just about accuracy, but also about the impact these portrayals could have on young viewers, particularly African-American children. Amos was particularly disturbed by the writer's failure to appreciate the importance of accurately representing a black family on national television. He found it hard to reconcile the fact that, while the show aimed to be a reflection of real life, many of the jokes and situations written into the scripts missed the mark. His growing dissatisfaction with how the writers handled his characters' storylines, as well as those of his children, reflected a deeper issue with the lack of depth in the depiction of black life. In his words, he was tired of having his life threatened over jokes. This was not just a matter of entertainment, but a question of social responsibility, representing the lives and dreams of black people with dignity and nuance. One of the more contentious issues revolved around the character of J.J. Evans, played by Jimmy Walker, whose catchphrase, "Die no might," became a cultural phenomenon. While J.J. was undoubtedly popular and provided much of the show's comedic relief, Amos and others felt that the writer's overemphasis on his antics was detrimental to the show's broader potential. Amos felt that too much attention was given to J.J.'s slapstick humor, often at the expense of the other characters, particularly his two children, Thelma and Michael. Amos lamented, "I felt too much emphasis was being put on J.J. and his chicken hat, saying dynamite. every third page, when just as much emphasis and mileage could have been gotten out of my other two children and the concomitant jokes. This imbalance in the storytelling was particularly frustrating for Amos, who felt that Thelma and Michael, portrayed by Bernadette Stanis and Ralph Carter, respectively, were underdeveloped characters. While JJ was portrayed as a carefree, fun-loving character obsessed with being funny, Thelma and Michael had far more serious aspirations that were never fully explored. Thelma, for example, was a bright and ambitious young woman, but her potential was often overshadowed by JJ's antics. Michael, too, had aspirations to become something greater, at one point even aspiring to become a Supreme Court justice. These aspirations were vital for the representation of young black viewers, who could see themselves as anything they wanted to be. Amos believed that these ambitions should have been highlighted, as they offered an important counterpoint to the often one-dimensional portrayal of black characters in entertainment. Amos was quick to clarify that his concern was never about jealousy toward JJ's popularity. In fact, he acknowledged that JJ's character brought significant attention to the show. However, he felt it was wrong to suggest that the dreams and potential of Thelma and Michael didn't matter. These characters could have been powerful representations of black youth striving for excellence, and their stories deserved to be told just as much as JDJ's. Amos understood the importance of humor in the show, but he felt that it was necessary to also showcase the struggles and aspirations of black youth in a more substantive way. John Amos had some very strong and often vocal opinions about the show's direction. His frustrations with how the show was evolving, particularly with regard to its portrayal of African-American life, became a significant source of tension behind the scenes. However, what set Amos apart was his confrontational approach to expressing those opinions, which ultimately led to a dramatic shift in his relationship with the producers and his eventual departure from the series. Amos wasn't one to sugarcoat his thoughts, and his approach to voicing his concerns wasn't always diplomatic. He felt a deep responsibility to accurately represent black life on television, and when he believed the show was veering off course, he wasn't afraid to challenge the writers and producers. Amos didn't shy away from speaking his mind about the way the characters were being portrayed or how storylines were being handled. The issue was that while his concerns were valid, his confrontational style of communication wasn't always well received. The producers, who were used to working within a different set of dynamics, often found his outspokenness difficult to manage. Over time, the tension between Amos and the producers began to mount, and what had initially been seen as a valuable perspective on authenticity and representation increasingly became a point of contention. The rift came to a head after the third season of Good Times. In an interview years later, Amos reflected on the fallout from his strong opinions. The producers, weary of the constant tension and unable to see eye to eye with Amos, decided that it would be easier to let him go than to continue dealing with the friction. As one of the producers reportedly put it, "Tell you what, why don't we write him off? We can get on with our lives." This decision to write off Amos's character, James Evans, was a turning point not only in the show's narrative, but also in Amos's career. For a show that had originally centered around his character as the family patriarch, the decision to remove him from the storyline marked a significant shift in both the tone and the direction of Good Times. At the time, the public reason given for Amos's departure was that he had chosen to focus on his film career. This explanation was an attempt to frame his exit as a voluntary decision, suggesting that Amos had outgrown the television series and was eager to pursue other opportunities in film. However, in a 1976 interview, Amos revealed the truth about his departure, admitting that he had not chosen to leave the show. Instead, he was informed by Norman Lear, the show's creator, that his contract would not be renewed. Lear's phone call, according to Amos, was essentially the same as being fired. This revelation about how his departure was handled was a painful one for Amos, who had believed that his role on the show was crucial to its success, and had a vested interest in seeing the show evolve in a way that reflected the real-life experiences of Black families. Next is Esther Rolle, who portrayed Florida Evans on Good Times, was not only one of the show's most beloved characters, but also one of its most vocal advocates behind the scenes. While the sitcom, set in the Chicago housing projects, was groundbreaking in its depiction of a Black family navigating life in the face of adversity, Rolle had serious reservations about how the show was evolving, particularly the portrayal of certain characters and the stereotypes that seemed to emerge over time. Rolle was deeply invested in bringing authenticity and dignity to her portrayal of Florida, the matriarch of the Evans family. However, she quickly became frustrated with how the writers chose to develop the characters, especially the role of her on-screen son, J.J. Evans, played by Jimmy Walker. J.J., originally conceived as a light-hearted, fun-loving young man, became the focal point of the show's comedic energy. His catchphrase, "Dynamite," and his slapstick humor dominated much of the storylines, often to the detriment of more nuanced character development. For Rolle, the shift in focus towards JJ's antics came with a troubling downside. In an interview with Ebony magazine, Rolle expressed her discontent with how the character of JJ was portrayed, especially as the show progressed. She felt that the character had been reduced to a simple, one-dimensional figure who didn't embody the qualities of a responsible or admirable young man. "He's 18, and he doesn't work. He can't read or write. He doesn't think," Rolle said, pointing out that JJ's lack of intellectual or professional ambition was problematic. In her eyes, the portrayal of JJ veered too far into the realm of negative stereotypes that Black youth were often unfairly burdened within popular media. Rather than serving as an example of a young person striving to make something of themselves, JJ's character became an embodiment of sloth, irresponsibility, and superficial humor. Rolle was acutely aware of the influence that television had on the perceptions of Black people, especially young viewers. She was concerned that by portraying JJ in such a limited way, the show was doing a disservice not only to the character, but also to the larger community. For Rolle, the show's depiction of JJ was problematic because it reinforced harmful stereotypes that were already deeply ingrained in the media. She was determined not to be complicit in perpetuating these negative images, particularly when there were so many positive aspects of Black life and culture that the show could highlight. As her dissatisfaction with the direction of the show grew, Rolle made it clear that she would not be silent about her concerns. In an era where Black characters on television were often relegated to subservient or one-dimensional roles, Rolle felt it was her responsibility to stand up and challenge the show's depiction of African American life. She was unwilling to passively accept a portrayal that she believed was not reflective of the dignity and complexity of Black people. She described her feelings as a disruptive factor in the show's production, one that ultimately led to her departure. Rolle's dissatisfaction with the show's direction reached a boiling point when she learned that she would no longer be a part of Good Times, a decision made during the show's hiatus. She had been a central figure on the show, providing much-needed stability and wisdom as the matriarch of the family. However, despite her critical role and her vocal concerns about the portrayal of her character, she was informed that she would be written out of the show. Rolle's departure was a significant moment in the history of Good Times, as her character had been an anchor for the show's family dynamics. Florida Evans was a hard-working, loving mother who embodied strength and resilience, qualities that Rolle felt were essential for African American representation in the media. Rolle's departure was not entirely her decision, though she had been clear about her unhappiness with how the show had evolved. The producers had grown weary of her strong opinions and the tension that had arisen between her and the writers. She was disappointed by the decision to remove her from the show, especially after the effort she had put into portraying Florida with dignity and depth. In many ways, Rolle's exit marked a turning point for Good Times as a whole. Without Florida Evans's guiding presence, the show's tone shifted, and the balance that had previously existed between humor and the portrayal of serious family issues became more uneven. Now comes Jimmy Walker, the actor best known for his portrayal of J.J. Evans on the iconic sitcom Good Times. Walker's role as J.J. was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it catapulted him to stardom, earning him widespread acclaim and a dedicated fan base. On the other hand, the character's exaggerated humor and over-the-top antics were sometimes criticized for perpetuating stereotypes, particularly by his co-stars John Amos and Esther Rolle, who felt the focus on JJ undermined the show's more serious themes. Despite these criticisms, Walker's comedic talent was undeniable, and his role as JJ remains one of the most iconic performances in television history. During his time on Good Times, Walker's star continued to rise. He appeared on other popular TV shows, such as Fantasy Island, and even made a splash in film with roles in movies like Let's Do It Again. These appearances allowed him to showcase his versatility as an entertainer and solidified his status as a prominent figure in Hollywood. However, as Good Times came to an end in 1979, Walker found it challenging to maintain the same level of visibility on television. Like many actors whose careers are defined by a single standout role, Walker faced the difficulty of being typecast. Despite the challenges of transitioning away from his role as JJ, Walker had a secret weapon: his stand-up comedy. Stand-up was not only his first love, but also a constant throughout his career. Even during his time on Good Times, Walker maintained a strong presence on the comedy circuit, honing his craft and connecting directly with audiences. Comedy provided him with a creative outlet and a way to stay relevant in the entertainment world, even as television opportunities became less frequent. Today, Jimmy Walker continues to tour the country, performing stand-up comedy approximately 25 to 30 weeks a year. His routines reflect the same sharp humor and engaging stage presence that made him a star decades ago. While he may no longer be a regular fixture on television, his enduring talent and passion for comedy have allowed him to carve out a successful career on his own terms. Walker's journey from aspiring basketball player to sitcom star and stand-up comedian is a testament to his resilience, adaptability, and unwavering commitment to making people laugh. Don't forget Ralph Carter, who rose to fame as Michael Evans, the youngest and most socially conscious member of the Evans family. Carter's portrayal of Michael, a young, idealistic boy unafraid to speak his mind about civil rights and social justice, resonated with audiences and became a key element of the show's success. Though many fans might think Good Times was Carter's first step into acting, his career had already begun years earlier on the Broadway stage. While working on Good Times, Carter discovered another passion: music. In 1975, at the height of the show's popularity, he released an album titled When You're Young and in Love. The title track, a soulful and romantic tune, gained attention and allowed Carter to expand his talents beyond acting. He even appeared on the iconic music show Soul Train to promote his album, cementing his place as a multi-talented entertainer. His foray into music showcased his versatility and helped him connect with fans in a new way. Despite his early success, Carter's time in the entertainment industry began to wane after Good Times ended in 1979. Unlike some of his co-stars who remained in the spotlight, Carter chose a quieter path. After a busy and high-profile childhood, he stepped back from acting and music, taking a long break from the public eye. During this time, Carter focused on his personal life and explored other avenues outside of show business. Besides, Jeanette DuBois was also a multi-talented performer whose skills extended far beyond her most iconic role as Willona Woods, the witty and stylish neighbor on the beloved sitcom Good Times. DuBois left a lasting impact on television, theater, film, and music, and her legacy as an artist and philanthropist continues to inspire. DuBois's breakout role came in 1974 with Good Times, where she portrayed Willona Woods, a character beloved for her humor, charm, and unwavering support of the Evans family. Willona's vibrant personality and quick wit made her a fan favorite, and DuBois brought depth and relatability to the role. She also displayed her musical talents by co-writing and singing "Movin' On Up," the unforgettable theme song for the Jeffersons, a feat that showcased her versatility as an artist. In addition to her television work, DuBois appeared in several films, including the satirical comedy "I'm Gonna Get You Sucka" and the action-packed Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. She demonstrated her range by transitioning seamlessly between comedic and dramatic roles. DuBois also excelled in voiceover work, earning 2 Emmy Awards for her performances in animated projects. These accolades highlighted her ability to bring characters to life through her voice alone. DuBois also established the DuBois Care Foundation, an organization dedicated to empowering young people through creative projects. Her work with the foundation reflected her passion for nurturing the next generation of artists and giving back to her community. She believed strongly in the transformative power of the arts and worked tirelessly to ensure that young people had opportunities to explore their creativity. While DuBois achieved great success, her life was not without challenges. She experienced personal losses and difficulties but remained resilient and committed to her passions. On February 17, 2020, DuBois passed away unexpectedly from cardiac arrest. Her death was a profound loss to fans and colleagues who admired her talent, warmth, and generosity. Do you still remember Janet Jackson, who made a memorable mark when she joined the cast of Good Times in its 5th season, playing Penny Gordon Woods? Her character brought emotional depth to the sitcom, tackling serious issues like child abuse, a rarity for sitcoms of the time. One of the most shocking and powerful moments on the show came when Penny's mother attacked her with a hot iron. The scene, though difficult to watch, was a standout moment in television history, shedding light on the struggles some children face. Penny's story resonated deeply with viewers, as it demonstrates the power of love and resilience. Penny's life took a positive turn when she found a safe and nurturing home with her adoptive mother, Willona Woods, played by Jeanette DuBois. The dynamic between Penny and Willona added warmth to the show, showcasing themes of redemption and second chances. Penny also had a sweet and innocent crush on JJJ, Jimmy Walker, bringing moments of levity and youthful charm to the series. Janet's natural acting talent made Penny a memorable character, and her presence breathed new life into the later seasons of the show. At the time, Janet was best known as the youngest sibling in the famous Jackson family. Her brothers, the Jackson 5, had been pop sensations since 1969, and her older brother, Michael Jackson, was on his way to becoming the king of pop. Despite the shadow of her family's immense fame, Janet proved she was a star in her own right, delivering a nuanced and heartfelt performance that captured audiences' attention. Good Times became an early stepping stone in what would become an extraordinary entertainment career. After her time on Good Times, Janet continued to act, appearing in popular TV shows like Different Strokes and Fame. However, acting was just one facet of her multifaceted talent. In the 1980s, Janet shifted her focus to music, launching a career that would redefine her as one of the most iconic artists in history. With the release of her groundbreaking albums Control, 1986, and Rhythm Nation 1814, 1989, Janet Jackson established herself as a force in the music industry, blending pop, R&B, and socially conscious themes into chart-topping hits. Songs like Nasty, What Have You Done For Me Lately, and Escapade became anthems, earning her critical acclaim and legions of fans worldwide. Janet's ability to reinvent herself and stay relevant has been a hallmark of her career. Over the decades, she has released numerous successful albums, performed on global tours, and earned countless awards, including Grammy Awards and induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Earlier this year, Janet thrilled fans with her Together Again tour, a celebration of her music and legacy. Her live performances continue to draw massive crowds, proving her enduring appeal and influence. Bern Nadette Stanis, best known for her role as Thelma Evans on Good Times, captured the hearts of viewers in the 1970s with her charm, elegance, and quick wit. As the only daughter in the Evans family, Thelma was portrayed as intelligent, ambitious, and often sassy, a well-rounded representation of a young black woman with dreams and aspirations. Stanis brought depth and relatability to the role, becoming a beloved character in a show that broke new ground in American television. Landing the role of Thelma was a pivotal moment in Stanis's life. At just 18 years old, she auditioned for the part, embarking on a journey that would change her life forever. Stanis has often credited her mother for playing a crucial role in her success. Her mother's unwavering support pushed her to pursue her dreams, even when Stanis doubted herself. One memorable story she frequently shares is about a pageant performance she was nervous about. In a moment of self-doubt, she tried to fake an asthma attack to avoid going on stage, but her mother refused to let her quit. That same determination and encouragement fueled her confidence when auditioning for Good Times. On Good Times, Stanis's portrayal of Thelma was groundbreaking. She was a strong, intelligent, and ambitious young woman who defied stereotypes about black women on television. Thelma's character showed audiences that black families, despite their struggles, valued education, ambition, and close-knit relationships. Stanis's chemistry with her on-screen brothers JJJ, Jimmy Walker, and Michael, Ralph Carter, added humor and warmth, making the Evans family one of the most relatable and endearing families on TV. After Good Times ended in 1979, Stanis continued her acting career. She appeared in films and stage productions, showcasing her versatility as an actress. One of her notable later projects was the 2016 film 36-Hour Layover. While this role marked one of her final on-screen appearances, Stanis didn't step away from creativity. Instead, she shifted her focus to writing, publishing 5 books that offered insights into her life, career, and perspectives. Her books, including Situations 101, Relationships, and The Last Night, earned her respect as an author and further highlighted her ability to connect with audiences in meaningful ways. Family has always been a cornerstone of Stanis's life. She married Terrence Redd, with whom she had a daughter, Dior. Later, she married Kevin Fontana and welcomed her second daughter, Brittany. Stanis has often spoken about how deeply she values her role as a mother, emphasizing that raising her daughters has been one of her most fulfilling endeavors. Her family has remained a central part of her life, and she takes immense pride in nurturing her children's growth and happiness. While many fans remember Stanis for her role as Thelma, her life and legacy extend far beyond her time on Good Times. Today, she represents resilience and adaptability, showing that success takes many forms. Whether she is acting, writing, or dedicating herself to her family, Stanis continues to inspire with her grace, determination, and ability to evolve. What do you think about the cast of Good Times and why it is no longer on the air? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.